As soon as the story begins, we meet a woman named Catherine, who is trying to explain to someone on the phone like crazy that I can't give you those musical notes. You don't understand. The music notes you have asked for are music curses. That is, if someone listens to this music, he will be captured by some evil entity, that is, by some evil creature. But whoever was on the other side of the phone was adamant that I wanted those music notes and I wanted to broadcast those music notes on the radio. So Catherine decides to burn those music notes. Catherine had burnt the entire box of music notes in which those music notes were kept. And as soon as she does that, it gets very dark here. And in this darkness, Catherine sees two shining eyes. These were probably the eyes of the same entity that possessed the people on the music. That is, it used to control them. What did he do in his control? Catherine tries to get him to open the door, but then she hears a voice nearby, and that same entity throws Catherine into the fire that she had lit, and the box that had the music notes inside closed. As soon as Catherine dies, it starts raining heavily here. And because of this rain, the musical notes are saved which Catherine wanted to finish, but instead of that, the scene is cut and we see an orchestra scene. Here we see our main character Mallory. We get to know that the owner of the orchestra is the same woman Catherine's friend who was killed in the fire. The owner of the orchestra was asking Catherine for those musical notes so that he could play that music on the radio telecast of the orchestra. But he didn't understand Catherine's words even after Catherine's thousands of explanations. But now, after Catherine's death, he had to change his plan. He had to make new music for the radio telecast. For this, all the musicians of his orchestra were working with great dedication. After all these people left, the melody comes to this man. He had made some musical notes which he wanted to show to his boss, and she wanted the music of these notes radio 10 casts. But her boss finds her music very bad and tells her that she has accepted the music notes of her second click. Hearing this, Melody gets sad. Getting angry, we see Melody's daughter Zoe, who had a little problem with hearing. Melody had promised her that she would get her treatment from a good doctor. But the problem was that Melody didn't have that much money. That's why she was working on her music notes day and night, so that her boss would accept her music notes. And she got a little bonus. This time she came to talk to her boss about this. But instead of accepting her musical notes, she tells her boss that she wants to use Catherine's musical notes on this video telecast. But now, after Catherine's death, she is helpless. Melody didn't want to lose this chance. That's why she tells her boss that she can find Catherine's notes. Because Catherine was my teacher and I know where she kept her notes. Melody goes to Catherine's house for this work, where she meets Catherine's sister. When Melody tells her that she has come to get Catherine's music notes, Catherine's sister doesn't let her come to her house, because she told her sister that no one should get her music notes. Melody goes to her car and sits there. But it's not possible that she will go back from her mission. She wanted those notes anyhow. So she goes to Catherine's house to steal those notes from the back door. She had come to the store where Catherine used to keep her music notes. And here she sees someone's shadow in the mirror. Ignoring the shadow, Melody goes to her work and she gets those music notes recorded by 2 recorders. Melody hears the music and suddenly it gets dark. She starts to get weird visions. She was seen in the living room of the eclipse. Before she could do anything in this room, a crow suddenly hit the window, and her voice wakes her up. Melody ran to the car without wasting any time and picked up the box. She wanted to leave immediately, but she found out that she forgot the car keys inside. When Melody went inside to get the keys, she saw an entity, a creature, standing in black clothes. She was very scared of it. Before the creature can say anything to her, she goes and sits in her car and goes very far from here. She had come to her boss with all these music notes. She shows these music notes to her boss and says that these notes are not complete. But I can complete them because I know that Catherine used to make her music like this. Her boss was very happy with her work. He gives her time to complete these music notes. Melody now starts working on those music notes. And to do this, she was listening to the music recorded by Catherine. As the music was playing, Melody was getting the same feeling. And in this feeling, she was seeing herself. She was standing on a hill and playing a flute. As soon as the feeling was over, she noticed that her notes were complete. The notes that she had not written. Now the music that she was listening to, she heard someone's evil voice in her ear. She hears a voice that had already put her in thought, what is this? Who is this and what is he saying? To answer these questions, she goes to a friend of hers who used to work at a digital audio station. And he could clear the voice that was coming at the end of the music from his digital audio station. After listening to this music, evil entities could be summoned. And by doing this, people used to do black magic. Melody doesn't believe her and tells her to do her work. Now we see the scene of Melody's house where her daughter and her friend were. Zoe's friend listens to Gatwin's music and then tells Zoe that I don't know why, but I see weird things while playing, like some evil spirit. Anyway, they don't pay much attention to this thing and start playing again. While playing, this boy sees a ball very close to him. As soon as he looked behind the ball, there was a ghost. He was wearing black clothes, a scary ghost. Seeing this kid was not only scared but also completely changed, as if this ghost possessed him. That's why that kid played the same music all day long, which was made by Catherine. At night, this kid sees a rat sitting under his bed. That ghost was standing behind this rat like it was behind the first ball. When this ghost sees this, it takes this kid under its control and takes him somewhere. When his mom came to check him in the room, she was not there. She gets scared and goes to Melody to inform her because she is his friend. Melody was also worried about the missing child. In this worry, these people report to the police. The police were also looking for the child, but for a long time, no clue was found about the child. Now, even Melody was starting to feel that there was something about the music behind her disappearance. So, she goes to the orchestra and tells her boss the truth, and says that Catherine made this music for the children. But according to the children, this music is very dark. We should not tell this to the cast. But where was he going to listen to his boss? Now she asks her boss for one more day to complete this music, because she also knew that if she did not complete this, then someone else would get a job, and he will not get much money. The second key of the melody, whose music was selected earlier, now he was jealous of seeing the music of the melody being selected. In the orchestra, everyone started playing this music, and the time the melody's key was playing this music, we see that blood started coming out of her nose. And by giving this music to everyone, here Melody starts crying once again. In this crying, she was looking at those white mountains. In the middle of the mountains, there was a small palace. As soon as she comes out of this palace, she finds out that blood is flowing from her nose. When Melody tells the truth about this, she finds out that the place she saw in the palace is Germany. And she found out this from Zoe's book. In Zoe's book, there was a story of a piper. A villager called this piper to his village to chase away the rats. And in return for this work, the villagers were going to give money to the piper. The piper went to his work, saved the fluid there, and chased away all the rats. After his work was over, the piper should have got the money. But here the villagers cheated him and didn't give him any money. In this way, Piper got angry and decided to destroy the villagers. He will steal their most precious thing. But what could be the most precious thing for a poor villager, except for their children? Piper decides to take those kids away from them. Piper now goes to a music and controls those kids. And then he took them to a lake and killed them all. Melody didn't care about this story. Bobby was also busy completing his music notes. But while doing this, his eyes get stuck. Zoe, who is Melody's daughter, now listens to the music of the new Catherine. And while listening to this, the same ghost was following her. The same ghost we have seen many times in this movie. Before the ghost attacks Joy, Joy turns around and looks at someone behind her, and the ghost disappears. The next day when Joy was in school, she saw her ball at a strange place. This was the same ball that her friend had seen before disappearing. She went to get this ball. When she goes behind her, the ball has now come to a bus. Zoe picks up this bomb and gets into the bus. And in the bus, she sees Piper sitting. Piper goes to the flute to control Zoe. The music of the flute was so powerful that all the windows of the bus were broken. Zoe, who could not hear anything, was also able to hear this music. Zoe goes to her home and tells her mom everything. And she says, because I could not hear that music anymore, so maybe I was saved from getting possessed. But my friend also heard this music before disappearing. She told me, "Mom, now Zoe's talking was bothering Melody." When Melody was working at home, she felt someone's presence near her cupboard. As soon as she goes near the cupboard, that thing, that entity, attacked Melody. Hearing the noise, Zoe comes out and sees that her mom is playing weird music. Cameras are now on Melody's face, and we see that Melody's face is black. Her eyes are burning like fire, which means that an evil spirit has taken her from her. It could be that evil spirit is in Melody's body. In this condition, Melody was completing her music notes like a mad person, and when Zoe came to stop him, she pushed him away. Zoe was scared of her, but she was more scared of her mom, so she tore all the music notes in front of her, and as soon as she did that, Melody comes to her senses. Scenes shift to an orchestra where Melody's boss is very angry at not completing the music. Then the boss says that I can also complete this music. Give me some time. Now they were talking when Melody came to them and said to them, "Don't do this. This music is not normal." She tells them that these music notes were not written by Catherine. These music notes are written by some evil spirit, and it can be very bad to complete it. But they were not listening to her. In Melody's chair, Melody's colleague says to his boss that he has completed the ending of the song and he will play the same music on the radio telecast. This means he refuses to play the melody again. In anger, Melody's boss takes Melody out of the orchestra. Melody was about to leave from here when she suddenly saw that her neighbor had jumped from the high building of the orchestra to the nearby lake, because she saw that her son was jumping from that building and falling into the lake. She wanted to save him, but actually, he was possessed by Piper. There was no jail downstairs, and she fell near the orchestra's chairs. Piper possessed her so easily because her musical notes were being played here. Melody goes to this girl to help her, and while sitting here in the orchestra, she asks the musicians to help her, but no one comes to her friend who had the music recorded by Catherine, who was hearing someone's voice in the last part of Melody's friend cleared. That voice, the language spoken in that voice was Italian, and the meaning of that sentence was, "My life is a mess." Melody gets more scared. She tells her friend that she doesn't want to hear this music again. She comes to Catherine's house, because she had understood that Piper, who is harming everyone here, is possessing everyone, was first trying to fulfill her musical notes through Catherine, and then through LOD and her orchestra. She also knew that Catherine must have made some notes that are antidotes to these notes, i.e. those musical notes that can stop Piper. Zoe, who had read Piper's book, according to that book, the villagers killed Piper, but Piper said that he would keep possessing the children until his music was alive. While reading this, Piper comes here and possesses Zoe, and takes her with him. Here we see that Melody's friend, despite Melody's refusal, succeeded in translating the second part of the song by listening to the music again. This meant that whoever escapes my trap, I will come to take my revenge on whoever escapes from my trap. Or Melody, who came to Catherine's house to find musical notes to stop Piper. She meets Catherine's sister here, who says to her, "Do you think you did the work that Catherine couldn't do for the past 50 years? Listen to me, stay away from all this work. Otherwise, you will also be in the same state as Catherine." Melody doesn't pay attention to her words and starts looking for musical notes here, and she finds a lot of musical notes behind the wallpaper. Melody was hoping to get these notes, but Catherine's sister says that there is no break in Piper's music notes. If you hear Piper's music, it means that she has possessed you completely. Piper possessed Catherine too. Despite her possession, Catherine kept looking for a break in her music notes, and so everything in her life was ruined. You also had a hard time in life. My father was robbed of his mind. I have spent my life on you. My father is dead, Melody. And leave all this. Melody doesn't even pay attention to this woman's words, and she comes to her friend with the notes written on the wall, because she thought that these were the notes of Piper. She sees that her friend was also possessed by Piper. That's why she was bleeding from her nose. She also wanted to attack her ear and hurt herself. But here Melody saves her. In the orchestra, Melody's boss starts saving musical notes with his team, which were Piper's, which she had referred to Catherine. Doing this, Piper comes into a clique of Melodies sitting here. Her eyes start burning and Piper starts possessing everyone sitting here. Melody, who had noticed everything, quickly goes from the back and turns off the electricity here so that people can avoid being possessed. But now it was too late, because Piper this time, whose body was in the body, tears his body and comes out of it. And here he kills all the people one by one. After killing people, he picks up the flute here and starts playing the same musical notes, with which he used to keep the children in his control. As soon as he plays the music, a magical door opens here. And as soon as all the children start going inside it, it was Piper's world where he used to keep the children in his control. He used to make them his slaves. Melody also goes to the world of Piper when the time comes, and she meets her daughter and her friend here. Melody sees that her daughter is working on Piper's gestures. Gideon feels very bad. She quickly goes and hugs her daughter, and takes out her hearing device from her ear, so that she can't hear Piper's music anymore, and she can't get out of her possession. After that, Melody picks up a flute and starts playing new music. Piper's music notes are flipped upside down. Saying this, Piper was in a lot of pain. He starts to suffer and his pain is getting worse. He is in a lot of pain. He started to suffer and many rats came out of his mouth and started to eat him. The rats ate him and killed him. All the children were freed from Piper's captivity. As soon as they came out of Piper's control, they came back to their world through the magical door made by Piper. Zoe's friend was also out, and Piper's door was always closed. That means finally Piper's chapter is closed. We all think so, but there is a twist in the story. In the last scene of the story, we are shown Zoe, who is playing a very good flute. She was playing an old music to her teacher. The teacher was also impressed with her music. And while playing this music, Zoe's eyes were shining like fire.